For the first time all season, the Golden State Warriors are on a losing streak. Yes, the best team in the NBA is on a losing streak. Now, let's not overreact because that streak is 2 games, and one of those 2 games, they were missing 3 Hall of Famers. However, over the last 18 games, we've seen something we did not see from the Warriors earlier in the season: offensive struggles. In the last 18 games, the Warriors have failed to hit 100 points on 5 occasions. That is close to 30% of their games. For reference, through the first 20 games of the season, Golden State did not once score under 100 points and posted the 2nd best offensive rating in the NBA. Now, an obvious explanation for these offensive struggles is the struggles Stephen Curry has had. But has there ever been a more obvious solution to the struggles of Steph and the team than adding back one of the greatest shooters of all time?
He's got it. His 3. Have you ever seen anything like it?
Let's get a few things straight. Klay Thompson should not be expected to immediately average 20 points a game and turn this struggling Warriors offense into one of the best in the league again. After all, this is what Klay had to say about his return to play.
When I come back and play, whenever that is, it's going to be on a minutes restriction. That's going to build throughout the whole season and hopefully peak toward when it's winning time.
And nothing he said in this interview should be of surprise to anyone. Klay has had a long recovery period after suffering possibly the 2 most devastating lower body injuries you could suffer in sport. But the boost Klay Thompson is going to provide this Warriors team couldn't come at a better time. If there's one thing Klay will still do better than 99% of players in the NBA, it's shoot. And if you need any proof of that, which you shouldn't, he not only made 24 straight threes in warm-ups prior to the Jazz game, Steph Curry also said he shot 50% in a scrimmage with the team recently and did so on volume. Basically, as you can see, the shooting has not gone anywhere, and that shooting is needed more than ever. Steph Curry's recent struggles have been well publicized, and a lot of people have potential thoughts as to what could help him out of his slump. Draymond suggested getting Steph better looks off the ball, which I know a lot of fans laughed at. In fairness to Draymond, he was just trying to take the responsibility. But in reality, it's a combination of creating better looks for Steph with the ball in his hands and out of his hands. And there's one man that can do that as well as anyone without even having to touch the ball. And this is why I say it's the perfect time for Klay to return, because a very overlooked aspect of this return is the mental boost it's going to give Steph. It has now been 1.5 years where practically everything on offense has depended solely on Steph. Even if he's not shooting well, the offense is still incredibly dependent on his movement off the ball and his creation as a playmaker with and without the ball. Having Klay back could be the perfect way to free Steph up, not just on the court, but in his head. I mean, I understand he is the babyface assassin, but let's not forget he is 33, and fatigue can play a factor. But another factor is what defenses have been able to do against Steph recently, because despite the likes of GP2 and others shooting well, defenses are still willing to leave them open to pressure Steph on multiple occasions. Here's an example. Campazzo has the opportunity to track GP2 to the opposite corner, but he opts to double team Steph, which is a smart defensive decision with Jokic covering that side of the floor. However, don't think for a second that kind of decision doesn't go out the window if you are guarding Klay Thompson. Campazzo is far less likely to leave Klay alone even if he thinks Jokic has that side covered, and thus it's far less likely for a trap to be forced on Steph and a turnover to be forced. Here's another example. JTA has the ball at the top of the key, and as Steph loves to do, he explodes off the ball, cutting to the rim. However, what should either be a free layup or a kick out is a block for Dorian Finney-Smith, because Jordan Poole is caught in no man's land. Literally, he's out of bounds, making it an easy rotation for Finney-Smith. Now, if you replace Klay with Poole in this situation, you have Klay heading straight to the corner and either getting an open look off a Steph dime or dragging Finney-Smith with him to the corner and forcing an open Steph layup. Now, there are more examples, but you guys get the point. adding back the greatest catch and shoot 3-point shooter ever will give Stephen Curry some more space. However, let's talk about why there is serious reason to be optimistic about just how good Klay Thompson will be in his return. Now, it hasn't just been Steph who has talked about how Klay has looked in practice. This was what Kevon Looney said 2 weeks ago when asked about Klay in practice. Klay looks like himself. He's always going to shoot the ball well, but he seems really confident in his body. He's going up for dunks, he's playing physical, and when you see that much confidence in him, it means he's getting close to ready. It's a joy to have him in practice, to have his energy back. To a lot of people, these quotes from Steph and Looney and Draymond and all of these guys don't seem like much. They're his teammates. What else are they supposed to say? But these quotes remind me a lot of the same quotes we heard from people talking about another individual who suffered an Achilles injury just 2 years ago. Everyone was talking about how good Kevin Durant was looking in practice, and a lot of people were still skeptical. And while it's safe to say we've seen exactly what can happen with the right rehabilitation and modern technology, plus a game that isn't dependent on groundbreaking athleticism, very similar to Klay Thompson. Now, this is particularly important because these two have a relationship, and last year when asked about Klay Thompson's recovery, Kevin Durant mentioned that they were talking multiple times a week. Now, right now, the Warriors' fourth leading scorer is Otto Porter Jr. Yes, Otto Porter Jr. at under 9 points a game is fourth in scoring per game for the Warriors. Now, why is this important? Because here are the top 4 seeds from each conference and how many double-digit scorers they have. Now, this is definitely not any reason to panic. There is no criteria which says you need to have 7 double-digit scorers to win a championship. The Warriors have a big rotation, which means they have less guys playing 25 to 30 minutes a night, like these other teams. But I think there's clear reason to believe bringing back Klay Thompson and having Andrew Wiggins as the third option and Jordan Poole as the fourth option, who is still struggling with consistency as a young player, will just elevate this team to a different level and just make this offense so much more consistent and potent, something they've been struggling with recently. With all of this said, I don't want you guys to think the Dubs are in desperate need of Klay's return to save their season. They are still the best defense in basketball. 2 of their 9 losses have been in games without Dre or Steph, and one of those other losses was without Draymond. When they've been at full strength, not even including Klay Thompson, they've been the best team in the NBA. And adding back Klay Thompson will only make them scarier and will only bring Stephen Curry and the Warriors out of their mini offensive slump. That's why I think it's perfect for Klay Thompson to return now and make the impact he can. Anyways, that's all I've got to say. Drop a like if you're excited to see Klay Thompson return. Subscribe to the channel for more Warriors content multiple times a week. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.